So it's finally here. The disc to digital program for Xbox has finally reached our graces. It's going to be here, I think, in the next couple months. Obviously, right now they're announcing that August 30th or 31st, it's going to be available to all Xbox Insider users, where basically how it works is, and I kind of detailed this a little bit in my previous video, is that all you have to do is take your Xbox disc, insert it into either an Xbox One or Xbox Series X, and then you'll be prompted to redeem a digital license. Once you redeem that digital license, it is now tied to your account. You can then basically take out the disc, you'll be able to play your digital versions, and you get all the great benefits of the digital version, which is your Xbox Cloud or your Xbox Play Anywhere stuff, which to me is the big win to me. Is like, because I own a lot of Xbox games physically, and one of the fun things that I like that Xbox does, and why I still continue to buy, why some certain games I still continue to buy on Xbox versus Steam, for example, is the Xbox Play Anywhere function. Because I don't have a Steam machine or a living room PC, so the only way for me to play games on my living room is through my Xbox. So I will pretty much buy games on the Xbox, and then if I want to play it on my PC with friends, I'll be able to do that. Or if I get a game on Game Pass, I can bounce kind of between the two. I like the freedom of that, and with the potential of the Steam Deck or Linux Game Pass app that we talked about in my previous video, I'll be able to even utilize my Steam Deck and play those games locally as well, which is really cool. So this kind of opens up the whole door for what you can do with your Xbox games and like what you truly own. And the great part about it is, somebody like me who's a little bit of a physical collector, is you still get to keep that physical disc, and you still get to have all the contents that are on that, and it's not like it's completely useless and stripped away, and you can basically share this with a friend. So if for whatever reason, if I don't want to play the game anymore, if I want to sell it, if I want to get rid of it, or if I want to give it to a friend or a family member, you can now take that disc and give it to them. Once they insert it into their Xbox, they're going to be prompted to redeem the digital license, and then that license will be revoked from your account and put onto theirs, and then now they have the digital license. They can play anywhere, or the cloud gaming, or whatever, all the benefits of doing digital without even having the disc in, or so on and so forth. So I think in general, this is a really, to me, a pretty cool move, a pretty consumer friendly move, because essentially we're getting free PC versions or free cloud versions of our games that we own physically that were only ever intended to be for Xbox. Now it's pretty much, they said, is going to be available for almost all physical discs. I don't know what the criteria is for some of these games. It seems like as of right now, it's only going to work for Xbox Series X as well as the Xbox One, which makes sense because all those titles are the only ones with Xbox Play Anywhere. As of right now, obviously they're working on this emulator for the 360 and the original Xbox game. So I think eventually, which would be really cool, is I can take my Xbox 360 game and just pop it in my Series X, and then I get the digital emulated version on that I can play on the Xbox app. So to me, that's the dream. That's what I hope one day I could be able to do, because sometimes I like to be able to take my games on the road, or for traveling or whatever it may be. If you have a PC handheld or one of those emulator Android handhelds, you can now take your games with you, which to me is just super cool. And I like I said, this is a big win, I think, and I think this was a good PR move for Xbox, especially after everything that happened with PlayStation and their announcement of getting away from physical discs. We don't know yet. There's still no announcement if Xbox as a whole is going to get rid of physical disc, or if the new Xbox is going to have a disc drive. I'm not sure. I mean, I still am kind of up in the air, because I can see like both things, and I think they're still trying to figure it out. Obviously, they solved with the announcement of PlayStation the amount of flack and heat that they got. And I think Xbox right now is just kind of reading the room and understanding like, okay, we're not going to announce ours yet. They may never announce it. They might just see, like, everybody sees that, hey, the new Xbox Project Helix doesn't have a disc drive in it, therefore there's not going to be any physical games. But I still think they're potentially still thinking about it. I think the most likely scenario, what everybody's kind of talked about, is the idea of purchasing an add-on disc drive for $50 to $100 or whatever it may be. I would certainly do that 100%. Now, would the production of discs still be available? That I'm not sure about, because there's kind of two things at play, right? I mean, the ability to letting us have a disc drive to put things in, but will that only be reserved for our old games or old Xbox games? Or will they continue to produce these discs for us to be able to use, or at least outsource it to like some third-party companies like Limited Run or 8-Bit or I Am 8-Bit, and let them produce the disc, and then we can utilize it? Because I think even if Xbox doesn't want to do it, at least allow the enthusiasts or the people within that niche of physical media collecting to still, like, hey, we can outsource it to you. If you guys want to make this and do it for us, sure, we'll do that. We'll take the cut, whatever it may be. I mean, I would As much as I don't like that, because obviously that really limits the amount of games that are going to come to physical, at least there's still some sort of option. But ideally, I think the best thing is maybe not even say status quo, because right now a lot of Xbox games don't come to disc, and then the ones that do, because it's half the size of the PlayStation 5 disc, they don't even put it on there, the full game. They'll put like essentially just a license. Maybe they do a really cool boss consumer move and they're just like, you know what, we're increasing the size of our disc, we're going to put the full game on there, we're going to make sure that it's room for everybody, and then make it at affordable price for the publishers and the game developers. I think that's very wishful thinking, but I mean, I would love to see it. And I think right now Xbox really needs to do anything they can to kind of get in the good graces of consumers, to help kind of win back that market share that they lost over the past 2 generations with the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. But anyways, let me know what you think of this news of the disc to digital program. I tell you what, I think I'm an Xbox insider. If not, I'm gonna have to do it immediately, because I got a couple games I want to do. Lego Batman I own physically, and that's one I really want to put digitally so I can play it on my Steam Deck and whatnot. But yeah, let me know what games you actually did you have physically that you want to put in there, because and what you think of this whole program, and do you think that this is a good stopgap for the potential, for we all know the inevitable future of them potentially getting rid of physical games or not. But yeah, let's move on to the next topic, and that is Gears of War E-Day official story campaign trailer. So obviously with Gamescon going on, this is where we found out about the disc to digital news and all that. Xbox is kind of dropping a lot of little things here and there. And obviously one of the big ones, their most anticipated release, and one of the most anticipated releases in general in the video game industry, is Gears of War E-Day, man. Is Gears going back to its roots. Obviously we're going to learn about everything that's happened up until Gears 1, or at least those first 3 days. As from what I'm understanding is that the course of the campaign is just the first 3 days of E-Day. It's the day it happens, the day after that, and the day after that. We did get an insight of who the villain is going to be, the general or the commander of the Locusts, which was really cool. They did a good job of pretty much setting the tone and kind of emphasizing what the timeline is. I mean, obviously you're focusing on a younger Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago. It's right after the Pendulum Wars. I could be butchering that. Pendulum Wars. I still need to read the books. I'm telling you, I have the books on my Amazon wishlist. Once I get through my Halo book that I have right here, Halo Fall of Reach, I'm going to get on my Gears of War books and novels, because I've been really interested in video game novels, because I never really thought about reading them until recently, and then I started getting into the Halo one. But anyways, back onto topic. This is going to take you're following Bravo Squad. So obviously it's your 2 main guys, but then you're including somebody, Lucas Reyes, as well as Max Carter. So I'm really curious to see how this works out without having Baird and this Coltrane in there, and how the dynamics going to work. Obviously we all knew the big brotherhood was between Marcus Phoenix and Dom, so if they can hold that strong together in the storytelling, that will still make for, I'm sure, a great brotherhood type story. And if I think these other 2 characters within Bravo Squad can help complement them, that'd be great too, because it would suck to kind of feel like, oh man, you've lost half of the crew because it's a prequel, you haven't met them yet, and then you don't have that same kind of dynamic that you did with Delta Squad. So I really hope these new characters and the voice actors can fit in really well. I mean, from the trailer, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, you just got to see how more of the dialogue plays out, because sometimes trailers obviously don't show anything, and that's on purpose. But yeah, and then to talk about a little bit of the cinematics, man, this game just looks beautiful. It looks so good. The way they've been able to capture Sarah on E-Day, and what they've been able to like portray in the tones and the environment details, it's so good, and I'm so excited to play it. I know there's some campaign footage out there, some guys who got to play like an hour early or things like that. I'm not watching it. I'm holding it off. I'm kind of going through the Gears games right now. I'm going to wait and experience it for myself for the first time, because yeah, I don't want to be spoiled at all. Now, one thing I did learn, and what I kind of expected, is in the mission structure, it's not going to necessarily follow the same traditional linear path that the previous Gears have always done. It's going to be taking more of a semi-open world exploration, where you're kind of going through Kelowna City. The campaign kind of opens up to all these different areas where you can go. There's like little side missions you can do. I remember in the original trailer that they showcased in Summer Games Fest was like, you can hear people shouting in the distance asking for help, and you can actually go and help them. So it's kind of like opening up the city to you to like kind of do what you want and kind of the order that you want, which I think is pretty cool, because then you can kind of do a little bit more of a role playing of what it's like to kind of experience, or what that world was like for Marcus Phoenix and Dom, and just kind of like explore the city. Because one thing that I've noticed, and what I'm assuming a lot of these Horde Siege maps are just campaign maps. So I imagine they're going to kind of like correlate a lot. So look, man, if you can make campaign feel like those Horde Siege maps, that'd be sick. I think that'd be cool to kind of help reinvent the way a campaign should be and kind of make it exciting and tense and things you have to capture. Like, and while still also doing your storytelling with the cutscenes and everything like that, like I think that could be pretty cool. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the campaign trailer. Are you excited for Gears of War E-Day? But yeah, let's move on to the next topic, and that is some of the Game Pass Xbox announcements from Gamescom. Obviously, these aren't necessarily exclusive. These are just games that are coming to Xbox. The big one that everybody's talking about is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Remastered. Look, I've stayed away from The Witcher 3 for a long time because I've always heard it's such a long game and all this other stuff. But you know what? Like, man, I'm really, that trailer got me hyped up. Like, I gotta try it out. I gotta at least start it. I know it's a grind, but Witcher 3, and they also announced with this remaster, it's going to be an Xbox Play Anywhere game. So, and they're going to release it later in the fall. So I feel like this might be a time for me to check out this Witcher 3 thing, because I know I've been missing out. It's considered like one of the greatest open world RPGs ever made, and I feel like I gotta experience that. Now I'm gonna rattle off a couple other ones right here. Metro 2039. That one looks really cool. I'm ready to see the 4th iteration within this franchise. The other is Crazy Taxi, man. I talked about it in my Summer Games Fest video. I love Crazy Taxi. I'm so excited to play more of it. Another game that I remember seeing, I think it was Summer's Games Fest. I think it was this past year. And it's called No Law. It is basically like a cyberpunk style game. I don't know if it's open world or linear or not. It's just a game that looks really interesting to me. I mean, if you like cyberpunk and that kind of world and that look of like that neo-punk kind of Matrix, Blade Runner type style, like I think this is a game that you're going to be interested in. Like, this game looks pretty cool. Another one is Exterminats. This kind of looks like a funnier, more cartoony looking like Helldivers. And I'm a sucker for co-op games. I love co-op shooter games. Anytime I see one that looks interesting, I always try to get some buddies on there. Exterminat looks like another one of those where it's just going to be a fun game you can drop in with your buddies and like kind of take out objectives and bosses and mini bosses and things like that. And then lastly, the big one that was announced right before The Witcher 3, and that's Final Fantasy Revelations, Final Fantasy Part 3. I'm actually going through Final Fantasy Remake for the first time. I started about a month ago. I'm about halfway through, and man, I am like, they have sucked me into this world. I've never played Final Fantasy before. I was like, you know, I saw the game I bought it on a whim. It was $10. I remember seeing the announcement for the Summer Games Fest, and I was like, you know what? This game looks really interesting. I'm just going to dip my toes into Final Fantasy. I've never played Final Fantasy before. I know they're traditionally turn-based games, but so I was like, this one was, the Final Fantasy Remake is not turn-based in the traditional sense. It's not really turn-based at all. It's more like obviously a live action or a real-time action game with some areas where you can kind of like pause and perform attacks. So I actually really enjoy the gameplay a lot, and it really speaks to me. So I'm like kind of in this point where I'm like, I'm pretty much obsessed with the game, and I'm trying to get through it because I know Rebirth is going to be a very long haul of a game. And if I want to get there and beat it before Final Fantasy Part 3, I got to try to do it. And I know they have some modes where it's like, hey, you don't have to worry about the leveling up. You just become in there super strong, so you can kind of hurry up and get through it. I don't feel like that's the way to play this, or I should experience for the first time. I feel like I need to like actually go through the grind of actually like getting better and understanding how to play the game without really just dominating the minute we get in. Anyways, for our last topic I want to talk about, and I know it's a little late on here, is the 25th anniversary of the Xbox Series X has finally announced its price. So it is going to be $8.99 USD, $8.99 euros, and $8.99 pounds, which it's going to be launching this November. Look, we all knew this thing wasn't going to be cheap with the RAM crisis and the rising prices and all kinds of like consumer electronics. Consoles obviously going up. Xbox is now up to I think $650 or $700. I don't remember what it is anymore at this point. I knew this thing they were going to throw in the collector's tax on it. I think this is also just of it getting even more expensive, and I don't think they're taking a price cut on this too, which is kind of crazy to think that they had to increase the upcharge and they're still taking a price cut. I just think right now the price cut is a lot steeper, and with this new collector's edition, they're trying to take less of one. That's why the price is pretty significantly more expensive. But look, I really want to get this console, but I have to tell myself like I don't need it. I don't need. I can't spend $900 on an old console. I can't pull myself to do it. I just don't have that much disposable cash to be thrown around like that. I mean, I could, but I can't in good faith or good conscience do that, especially knowing that I already had an Xbox. If I didn't, and say I've just only been playing PC, then I would heavily consider it, like 100%. But the fact that I already have one, I can't justify the idea of like buying this, selling this one, and then paying for it just for something that's just a piece of plastic at the end of the day. But I will say, man, if you don't have one and you're getting a console for the GTA 6, this is probably the coolest looking console you can get outside of, unless you want like the Wolverine PS5, which quite honestly, I'm not a huge fan of that look. It looks kind of, I think the Wolverine PS5 would have looked a lot cooler if they just kept the claw marks and got rid of his face. It kind of, I think it would look a little slicker like that. But yeah, I mean, what do you think of the price of this new Xbox? Obviously it's very expensive, and I don't necessarily think they're going to sell too many. I don't think they think they're going to sell too many. But one thing for sure I'm getting is the controller. I already bought the charger dock that came out that they partnered with 8BitDo to get, because they partnered with a couple companies to do some matching peripherals for their 25th anniversary consoles. I think they worked with Razer for a keyboard and a mouse, and then obviously 8BitDo for, I believe, obviously the controller stand, and then I think there was like a headset or something like that. I thought about the keyboard and the mouse, but I already got the 8BitDo Xbox keyboard, so I'm like, I don't really need the Razer one. It doesn't make sense, and this one was a lot cheaper, and I think it's just as good. The mouse maybe, but they also have, 8BitDo also has the Xbox transparent green mouse too, so I'd rather just spend less money and get that one. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below of all the topics that I talked about in this video. But yeah, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.